Hello and welcome to another Libero Hangout. My name is Mike. I'm here with Simon and Bill. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hello.
And this time we're going to talk about the League Cup and its fixtures from the week. So where should we start? I think the best place to start is Liverpool Manchester United, isn't that right?
That's right. Standout tie. I've got to say, not the greatest game from the highlights I saw, but you know, a big tie for both managers. Both want to win this competition, judged by the strength of the sides they put out. Even though Man United made a few changes, it was important for Moyes after the drubbing by Manchester City on Sunday.
Yeah, it was a game played at a good pace. It was quite a bright start from both teams, but in front of goal they were both quite poor. Especially Liverpool, they had I think just around 20 shots and only about 3 or 4 were on target, which tells its own story. They came close to scoring a lot of times. David De Gea made some good saves, but overall, I think considering they couldn't put their chances away, and with Suarez's return, they should have done a little bit better in front of goal. Maybe he's a bit rusty, but either way, I think United just about deserved to win it.
I was about to say we talked about Suarez on the last Hangout. How did you think he did, Bill?
Well, he's obviously a bit rusty. I mean, you can have all the training you want with top players, but it's nothing like crossing that white line and playing 90 minutes against your arch rivals. I mean, he had a few good touches here and there, but there was one occasion where ball was crossed in, he had a really heavy touch. In a few weeks' time, he would have controlled that for his shot on goal. He hit the bar with a terrific free kick. It's, he did okay, but he wasn't amazing. But for his first game, it weren't bad.
Yeah, exactly. As you say, Bill, there was a couple of times where the ball came into him and maybe he miscontrolled it a bit or didn't kind of make the most of the chance. But apart from that, there were signs, obviously, of his quality. Like you say, he hit the bar, so he had a good game, and his link up with Sturridge is going to be a key part of Liverpool's season. So, it's only going to get better for them, I think.
Elsewhere, a young Arsenal side managed to overcome West Brom. What do we think of that game, Bill?
Yeah, it was important for Arsenal because they haven't won a trophy for a while now, since 2005. Wenger continued his policy of playing the youngsters, well, as well as Nicholas Bentner, his first game in 2 years for Arsenal. To win on penalties with a young side is pretty good. West Brom, obviously, they made a few changes as well, but it's always important if you're a young team. Winning games is what you want to do. It breeds confidence. So, whether they'll keep playing a young team in the next round and for the rest of the competition remains to be seen. But it's always good to win a shootout.
Yeah, I think Wenger did well because it's quite tempting when you get drawn against Premier League opposition to play a bit of a stronger team. He stuck to his young guns, and they paid him back for that, albeit on penalties. Maybe you can say it's a little bit lucky, but they played well, and it was good to see. In particular, Thomas Eisfeld scored their goal, young German player who looks like a very talented youngster. So overall they'll be happy with that. West Brom will feel a little bit unlucky, but they actually played quite a strong team compared to Arsenal, so Arsenal will be very happy with that.
The only really shock of the round came at Birmingham versus Swansea, where the holders were knocked out. Do you think that's probably good for them, considering their European escapades this season?
Yeah, probably. I mean, you can tell by the squad and the lineup they chose. I mean, they left out Michu, Routledge, Michel Vorm. Although they did have Wilfred Bonney up front, John Shelby played Leon Britton, so they're a fairly decent team now. A good result for Burnham, I've got to say. They've really struggled this year in the Championship. Gone, not great for them, but they played pretty well to their goals well, so they'll be a threat against Stoke at home. So that'll be tough for the Premier League team.
Yeah, definitely. We we obviously saw Birmingham give a big shock to Arsenal just a couple of seasons ago. They're a team that are capable in cup competitions. They've proven that. And Swansea, as you say, with Europe, there's a lot of fronts to be fighting on now. It's a far cry from what they're used to because they've come up incredibly quickly from the lower leagues. So it's expected. It's obviously, as Bill said, it's not their best team they put out, so we can expect them to maybe slip up here and there, and it'll probably ease the pressure on that squad that they're now out of this competition.
Joining Arsenal, Birmingham and Manchester United in the next round are Newcastle, who overcame Leeds, Stoke, who beat Tranmere, Fulham, who beat Everton, and one of the standout results was Tottenham, Aston Villa, where Tottenham beat Villa 4-0 away. What do you think of that, Simon?
It was. I watched the game and it was brilliant from Spurs. It's just what Villas-Boas would have wanted to see, because he made a lot of changes from the last game, from the Norwich game, and it was still such a strong team put out, which just shows you. I know a lot of people have been talking about it, but the strength and depth they have now, it's very promising from their point of view that they will manage to beat Villa, who have definitely improved since last season. I think they made some great buys in the summer, but you could just tell from watching the game they weren't. The quality in the squad isn't that Spurs, which is expected. But no, it was a great performance, and Jermaine Defoe again proving that he should be picked for the team.
Yeah, I mean, a top result for Spurs. I mean, that shows the great amount of depth they've got in their squad. When you've got Defoe, who can come and score 2 goals, got Brad Friedel on goal. Lamela started his first game. You've got Lewis Holtby as well. That's the top side that they put out, and class apart Villa and Spurs, and Spurs showed it very well.
Joining the teams previously mentioned in the next round are Burnley, Hull, Leicester, Manchester City, Southampton, Sunderland, Norwich, West Ham, and Chelsea, who eased past Swindon. Did any of you see that game, and what did you think of the players that played?
Well, I only saw the highlights on the League Cup show, but I mean, again, like Spurs, Chelsea's squad is pretty frightening. To play against Swindon, a League One team, and have Torres up front with Willian and Mata and behind. That's really frightening. Yeah, it was expected win. Could have potential banana skin, but comfortable 2-0 win. Good to see Torres get another goal. So, I mean, like Spurs, they'll be a right threat in this competition. Played another strong team. I think they could go all the way.
Yeah, I think you're totally right, Bill. Chelsea and Spurs, I think you could argue have the 2 strongest squads in total in the Premier League. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll be the top 2, but they have that strength and depth that we talked about. Swindon have actually got a lot of Spurs players in on loan, and a young squad. It was always going to be tough. 2-0 loss to a Premier League side isn't actually that bad when you consider the hammering they could have got potentially from a very strong Chelsea team. The same question marks would be over Torres, though. Can he only score against lesser opposition? It's a debate which will go on, but there's no question he's a top striker. So maybe that's a little bit harsh, but it's a good sign for him to get back scoring.
You mentioned Chelsea's strength there, but unfortunately during that Swindon game they lost Van Hinkel to a really serious knee injury. That's a really bad thing happened to them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's out for 9 months, that's it for the season. So that's just so unlucky for the youngster. Very promising signing. I think we all saw him in the Under-21 Championships, which we covered on this website over the summer, and he was very impressive. He's definitely one for the future. And to have a whole year just taken away from him like that is, it's a huge blow. So you can only hope that it won't affect him like we've seen happen to a lot of young players over the years. A big injury can really throw your career off course. So you just hope that Chelsea stick with him and, he's back to his best as soon as he can be.
And we'll end by previewing the 4th round draw, and let's get some predictions from you, please. Tottenham will face Hull. Can I have your predictions there?
Tottenham with that.
Yeah, I think Spurs will again get through comfortably with that, with the home advantage as well.
Newcastle, Manchester City.
I think it depends what side Newcastle play out. If they put a strong team out, they've got a chance. But I mean, there's depth in City's squad. You could tell by their win against Wigan, they had the opposite scored 2 goals. Dzeko, Yaya Toure, Jesus Navas were their scorers. They're not exactly reserves, are they? So I think City will win that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bill was spot on, because there's a month yet until we see these games played, and there could be a lot of change since then. Newcastle, they're a bit of a downhill spiral at the moment. A bit of up and down at the moment. So depends what they can put out, because they don't have the strongest squad in the league. And again, City, if they can put out players like Jovetic, who scored twice in that round just played, they would be one of the favourites to win this. So Newcastle have the home advantage, but it'll be very tough.
Burnley, West Ham.
This is tough for West Ham. I mean, Burnley, they're riding really high in the Championship. Sean Dyche done a brilliant job so far on a very limited budget. It depends what side West Ham, Sam Allardyce's side. Depends what side he'll put out. He's made a couple of changes in the wins over Cheltenham and Cardiff. If he puts the first team out, I think West Ham will just about win, but in a month's time, Burnley could be struggling. It's the nature of the Championship. So, I think it actually could go to penalties on this one. So I really can't call it.
Yeah, again, you're spot on, Bill. I think this is a really tough game because Burnley have got quite a good reputation in cup games over the years. I remember seeing them against Spurs only a few years ago, and they really pushed them all the way, and that was in the semi-finals of the League Cup. So, they're a team that know what they're doing, and, as you say, they're doing really well in the Championship at the moment. I do think if West Ham are, on a good run of form, they can breeze past Burnley. I think they have the quality to do that. But it will depend where both teams are in a month's time. But for me, I'll stick with West Ham.
Arsenal, Chelsea.
If Wenger continues his policy of playing youngsters, then Chelsea don't wipe the floor of them. But I can't see Arsenal playing youngsters against Chelsea, and they'll probably play a first team. So depends who Arsenal play. But I think Chelsea's squad is so good. I think Chelsea will win.
Yeah, I think a lot depends on how Wenger sees this game in a month's time. It's a local derby, so you wouldn't expect him to put out a very weak team. I think you're right, Bill. Should pick a stronger squad, and hopefully he will. And with the home advantage, Arsenal, they could beat Chelsea. But as we said before about the strength and depth, Chelsea have a very good squad, and I think they'll beat Arsenal in this one.
Birmingham, Stoke.
Yeah, good win for Birmingham. I know they're struggling in the Championship, so they're home to Stoke, who've had a great start to the season, both in the league and in the cup. So, I think, but they've made a few changes, Stoke, in the last few games in the cup. So, again, there's a lot of ties in the fourth round. You don't know what's going to happen. So, I think just Stoke on this one.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's another really tough one to call. Birmingham, as we said, they got to the final a couple of years ago. They're a good side. I think Mark Hughes has started really well with Stoke, and he's got them playing a very different type of football than what they're used to. It's an ongoing process, but it seems to be working so far. So, but for me, I think he won't want to concentrate on this cup too much. So I think Birmingham could just sneak through with their home advantage.
Manchester United, Norwich.
I think it's got to be Man United. Played the strongest team against Liverpool. I think David Moyes taken this cup very seriously. He hasn't won a major trophy in England before, apart from Preston. But I think he wants to win this competition, so I think Man United will win easily.
Yeah, I think Moyes will see this as a trophy he can really push for. Champions League, I think there's a lot of stronger teams in Europe than Man United this year's season, so that'll be too much for them. But League Cup, FA Cup are really up for grabs. As we talked about on the other Hangout, the Premier League this season is going to be really a tough race, and Moyes might not be up to that. So the League Cup, the FA Cup are really there for United, and Norwich, they should beat them.
Sunderland, Southampton.
It depends where Sunderland are. If they're in a month's time, if they're down the bottom where they are now, I think they'll just put the kids out. I think, but they got a good win the other night, so I think Southampton, they're due a good run in the Cups. They haven't had one for a while, so I think just Southampton on this one.
Yeah, I think Southampton as well. They've really impressed me. They made some good signings, and I think they'll beat a Sunderland team that will be, very unconfident. you know, it could actually change in a month's time. You never know who they're going to bring in as a manager, obviously after Di Canio's gone. So, you know, it's hard to say at this point, but I think Southampton will be too strong for them.
And finally, Leicester and Fulham.
I think Leicester will win this one. Had a good win against Derby in the last rounds. You know, Fulham don't tend to do that great in the cup competitions, especially in the last decade or so. So, yeah, I think Leicester will win this one.
Yeah, I think Fulham are very inconsistent in the past couple of seasons. I think Martignol has improved them, and they will continue to improve under him. But they are very inconsistent at times, and as Bill says in the cup, they they tend to fall out pretty early, and often against lower league opposition as well. So Leicester at home, a very tough game, and in a month's time, Fulham are, you know, struggling a little bit and haven't had the best of starts. I think Leicester can certainly get a surprise win here.
And your prediction for the overall winner?
I think it's the squad they have at their disposal and the amount of quality and goals. I think Manchester City will win it this year.
Yeah, I think you know, it's definitely up for grabs. Arsenal and Chelsea, one of Arsenal and Chelsea are going to be out straight away in the next round. So for City, I think City or Spurs will actually win it, and I think I have to kind of agree with Bill that City are the team that I think will win this.
Okay, Bill Simon, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching.